One of the frequently asked questions that we get through our SMS number on 22162, and maybe Kwame or Nancy, I don't know, you guys, you can decide between the two of you who will answer this question, is about how contraceptive methods and family planning tie in. What's the difference? And, you know, I think it's a valid question, though. Yeah.
Well, I think that family planning, I mean, in a traditional sense was, look, this is a married couple or people who are in a relationship. They're thinking about it in the long term, and therefore deciding that how do we balance our family formation in terms of reproduction with respect to our own perhaps education, our career development, and just generally our health in general. So you're saying that we have a long-term relationship. We are trying to, whether it's formalized or not, but we are thinking about how we are going to space and have kids and at the same time protect our health within this relationship as well. Okay. So based on that, obviously, you require some knowledge about, are we going to use some artificial methods to control our fertility, or are we going to go for conventional methods? Okay. Of course, safety and the what do you call it? The reliability of each of them is completely different. So it's basically discussion within the family level, or within some kind of relationship that's intended to be long term. Okay.
Okay, I like that. All right, so here is where, let me tell you, this is the big question: contraceptives and understanding what works. We're going to get into the contraceptive, rather male contraceptives, in just a minute. You know, I don't know, you could probably give us a little bit about that. But there's about the contraceptive methods. The question is the 4 common types and which ones to use. And a lot of ladies actually text in to say, by the way, I'm not sure, I don't know. Nancy, do you think you could give us a bit of information about the 4 major types, and if you have any advice, so to speak?
Yeah, I think that's a very difficult question, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult question, but how I would go about it is I would talk to my gyna, and obviously my gyna would be able to advise me depending on my health and what I plan to do in, let's say, in the next 5 years, what kind of contraceptive I would be able to take. Because I think I would discourage this whole notion of going over the counter and getting for yourself contraceptives without having consulted a health physician or a health expert, so that they can be able to provide you good advice. Because we've seen the side effects of contraceptives, and it's useful for young people to be able to seek advice. I know in Kenya in particular, there's sort of like a taboo subject around who should be able to use contraceptives, how to be able to access contraceptives, and even how information around contraceptives is shared. And it's quite interesting, because this morning, as I was looking at some particular data, it was quite interesting that the KDHS was talking about the number, sort of like a trajectory between how women have been able to use contraceptives over time, so like family planning. And in terms of the measurement, they were looking at married women. And the question that I had was, what about women who are not married and are using contraceptives? And that's my sort of challenge in that sense.
Okay. All right, so the 4 types, and let's get into these. The long-acting reversible contraceptive, which is an implant or an IUD, and then you've got the hormonal contraceptive, which is either a pill, and then we've got barrier method, which is a condom, and emergency contraception. These are the common types that we've got out there. But based on, you know, a lot of statistics and just general talk, young people tend to be very highly dependent on the last 2, which is barrier method and emergency contraception. What do you have to say about that, Kwame?
To be honest, I don't know, but I think that it's because they're young people, so maybe that's something to deal with the nature of activity, sexual activity and relationships that they have. It tells you that obviously they're not in long-term relationships that allows them to actually begin to plan and then to consider that as part of their overall life goals and life plan. So they're dealing with it in the form of emergency, or they're dealing with it as a question of convenience. So that's what that suggests to me. And what that means as well is that and it's not to blame or anyway, but what it's telling you is that they deal with it on a day-by-day basis. Basically, it's something that you're managing as you
go along, as you move along. Nancy, what's your take on that? Especially even the case, because I have had a nurse here in set, in studio rather, on set with me, actually telling me about how it's so interesting that teenage girls, college girls especially, are so dependent on emergency contraceptives. And of course, in this particular case, we're discussing P2s, which is so accessible over the counter. And she even told me that the government really needs to do something about this, about the accessibility to emergency contraceptives, because now it's getting out of control. How then do you think, we can make that transition? Because it also, like the way he said, it goes to show you the kind of culture we're dealing with, that it's either convenience or we're dealing with now a crisis and we've got to fix this right now. That's how most young people are dealing with it.
I think we have to sort of first of all admit that we have young people who are sexually active, and if we have young people who are sexually active, we need to be able to provide interventions that would be able to address their sort of activity. And so I think it's critical for us to be able to provide them options. So having information around contraceptives and their effects and what that means is really critical. But on top of that, we also have to take into consideration that there's also the HIV element towards that. And these are young people who are not married, so you do not want a situation whereby, because I can imagine if you're 16 and already engaging, or even 15 and already engaging early in sex, by the time you're 18, you might have already changed your mind in terms of the kind of partner you want to end up with, and by the time you're 24. And so it's also important that even as they have all this access to information around which contraceptives they should have, they should also think about how to protect themselves from harmful effects of STDs and HIV and all right, we already got a text message here from a gentleman known as Mike, who actually says, kindly tell us more about male contraceptives in regards to family planning. And clearly I feel that's a very interesting question, because we rarely talk about male contraceptives. It's always us talking to the ladies, us talking to the women on how to stay safe and go about this the right way. But do you have anything that you can contribute towards that to just help Mike? I think condoms are like one of it. And then I think at a very extreme escalated rate, I think vasectomy. Okay, so just those two. Yes, Kwame, what do you want to say?
Well, there tends to be a dearth of options for men. Obviously, as you said, condoms, as she's mentioned, is one of the other options. But vasectomy is an option as well. But that tends to be with it tends to be with you need to take advice, because there's a reversible form and there's some irreversible forms as well. So that needs to be the idea. But the best way to actually go about this is to find your doctor when you go for your annual exam, and then let them know what kind of
young people we need to learn how to be going more for checkups, so to speak, right? I think the moral of the story is, please go and get advice.
You're dealing with this thing as it's part of your health, your life. The same way you see your dentist, or you you have your eyes checked and your ears checked so often. Maybe that's the point at which you can actually go at whatever time you schedule it at the beginning of the year, and have somebody you trust who's seen you over perhaps all your life, and then whom you can trust to actually ask, look, this is the situation I am in, and this is what kind of options are available to me. And if they cannot give you, it's best to get this advice from professionals who can explore the entire range of things with you, because your peers will tell you what they use or what they've heard about what others do.
It's true. Very true. Okay, let's talk about access to contraceptives, and I just want to share this article with you, Nancy and Kwame, and of course for all our viewers, and you can still give us your thoughts on this. I came across an article in The Nation concerning a birth control scandal around October last year, and this actually involved Marie Stopes, Kenya, and a school in Kitui West. And it reads that the activists from Marie Stopes Kenya, an organization that advocates for women's rights to have children by choice, visited Archbishop Boniface Lele Secondary School in Kitui West as the world celebrated the Day of the Girl Child. Now, they gave the teenagers birth control medication including the no plant. Now, angry parents actually told the nation that the girls who are between 14 and 17 years of age were duped into taking family planning drugs. Now, one of the parents, known as Munani Musia, said her daughter was given the no plant and she had to actually withdraw the girl from school for treatment. And she said that Marie Stopes should be held accountable for any health risks, and the school principal held liable for negligence and surrendering the safety of the girls to strangers. And my question to you is, do you think contraceptives should actually be handed out in schools?
I don't think so, because that reaction tells you that some Kenyan parents don't think so. So the view should be actually this, and especially given that they're not mild, and they're not a serious health intervention, but they are the kind of intervention that somebody who's still a minor should perhaps take with the knowledge of the parents, and that's what those parents are asserting. So in a view, while I think that organization may have been well-meaning, I think that was tactically naive to think that you can go to a school, distribute that kind of gadgets, and expect these girls to use it without their parents having an objection.
Okay, but Nancy, here again lies the question that there are some parents who are still shy to discuss about sex. So we have an organization that says, by the way, we've got girls coming to us saying, by the way, okay, I'm sexually active, and it's all whisper and hush hush. So what do you do if you're a nurse, if you're in this organization? Don't you think that they still mean well, because some of these girls just cannot have such a discussion with their parents?
I think for me, I would look at it that this way. I wouldn't be supportive of the organization providing the contraceptives, but I would want to have an open discussion amongst the parents and also the young children or the teenagers who are in that particular school, because there's sort of, I think the way a tortoise hides its head under the sand, I think in a sense we're sort of naive, or I think we don't want to acknowledge that young people are having sex early. And so the question should be, why are they doing so? Who are they doing it with? And what can we be able to do to either prevent or, okay, if they're already having it and they cannot be able to control it, what other methods are there for them to be able to at least safely do whatever they're doing. But I think we need to be very honest and have that honest discussion, because as long as there's no openness and there's no that discussion happening, then we're not really moving forward. And so when organizations like Marie Stopes or whichever organization provides those contraceptives, I think will sort of be caught up in that vicious cycle. Okay.
All right. So we're going to wrap up our interview right about now. Nancy and Kwame, allow me to just say sorry. We're going to have to cut this discussion short. But we do have another YouTube clip that we do want to share with you as we say Kwaheri. But as we are wrapping up, maybe as one of the frequently asked questions is, how can one access family planning services at no or a very low cost? And what is your word to the youth about owning their sexuality?
Well, I think part of it is that one of the few things you'll own throughout your life is your body, and you're responsible for whatever consequences, especially once you're an adult. Whether you're an adult or not, you actually would have to bear some of the consequences of what you do with your body and the consequences that issue from that. And part of your health is not just your mental health, your physical health, your reproductive health is also important. And it's one of the decisions you make as an adult and you make for the rest of life. So the idea is that home, I think students have to, or rather young people have to understand that home is a safe place to actually start this conversation. Start it at home, even if not necessarily with your parent, but if you have an older brother, an older sister, maybe they would guide you, because they have an interest in your life being comfortable. And so while it is a difficult one, perhaps that's the place to start it. Before then, you can face it with teachers and other people. But as a society as well, I think it's incumbent upon us to be open to the reality of the world.
Okay. All right, Nancy. Yes.
I think I'll be very brief. I think my advice to the young people is that if you need help, seek help. Look for someone that you can trust and talk to them, and don't go to the, okay, I was gonna say don't go to the internet, but obviously they'll still go to the internet.
You can still Google. It's fine. Yeah,
But seek
Dr.
help.
Google is there.
Yeah, seek
Yes.
help. Seek help. Ask all those questions and try and have an open discussion with your parents. If they're not willing to talk to you, talk to someone who you trust, but always seek help.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate Nancy Mwigei there, an independent consultant, and Kwame Owino, CEO of Institute of Economic Affairs.